Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvina Vaditamastu Mavidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om, may the Divine Being look over us lovingly as a mother and father. May the Divine Being support and nourish us as a mother and father. May we have the strength and skill to study together the art of spirituality. May no misunderstandings arise amongst us. Om, peace, peace, peace and beneficence be unto us and to all beloved beings everywhere. Well, dear ones, here we are gathered again on a Tuesday evening for studying, reading, and discussing the life of Sri Sarada Devi, the Holy Mother. One of the most auspicious things we can do, of course, this is a Tuesday, which is sacred to the Mother. Tuesdays and Saturdays are especially sacred to the Mother. And so it's very auspicious that we do this on a Tuesday. And we're well along in the book, I think. Someone just posted the page we're on. And are there any comments or questions that are left from what we studied last week, or anything else that anyone wishes to bring up about their own experience of the Divine Ones, or any comment or concern or question? All right, with that then.
Brother, I'm sorry. I have a question about something you just said.
Yes.
Why are Tuesdays and Saturdays auspicious for the Mother?
Jeff, I don't know the answer to that question. It is very, very traditional. It goes back ages. And if anybody else does know, please answer Jeff's question. But this has always been the understanding from which the Swamis worked and taught us. So I simply have no answer whatsoever to your question as to why they are special.
Well, I think that's a first.
I don't know about that, but in any event, if anyone else does know the answer, please come forward.
Actually, Brother Shankara, Tuesday is auspicious for Lord Ganesha, Durga, that is Kali, and Lord Hanuman.
Well, there we are. But that
very powerful gods.
That tells us another couple of whats, but not whys. So it's so evidently no one really knows. Jeff, I'll see if I can find the answer to that question, and next Tuesday I'll ask Swami Sarvadevananda why that's the case, and see if he has an answer.
Well, it's not a burning, urgent matter with me, so don't go too far out of your way.
Oh, it's always good to talk to Sarvadevananda, have an excuse to call him. So,
Very well then.
All right, dears, let us be off. Hi, Madidi, if you would be so good as to read for us.
Sure, Brother Shankara, I am honored. Good evening and namaste, everyone. And we're on page 706 on the top of the page. And the subheading is The Mother's and the Master's Birth Anniversary. Although Holy Mother was suffering from malaria off and on in Jairambati, she tried to make her disciples and relatives happy. She knew her days were drawing to an end, so she shared herself with these people as much as she could. As mentioned before, during the last part of October 1919, the mother arranged the rice feeding celebration for Radhu's son and held a feast for her relatives and the villagers. Holy Mother's birthday, the last birthday that she celebrated, was on 13th December 1919. When Parameshwarananda asked about arrangements for her birthday, she said, invite the monks and devotees and the families of Kali, Bharata, and Prasanna.
Her brothers.
Kali wanted the occasion to be celebrated on a large scale and said to her, sister, we should invite the villagers and beggars. Holy Mother replied, let me feed the people in my household. Later, I shall consider your suggestion. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
On her birthday, she took a sponge bath with tepid water and put on a sari sent by Saradananda. She performed the master's worship and then sat on her bed with her feet dangling, holding Radhu's baby on her lap. The devotees put a vermilion mark and sandal paste on her forehead and placed a garland around her neck. Then they came one by one, bowed down to her, and offered flowers at her feet. She blessed everyone, saying, I pray to the Master for your welfare. Generally, Holy Mother could not eat before feeding the disciples and devotees. But on that day, after the food offering to the Master, she ate at the request of her disciples, as her health was poor. Then the devotees and villagers had their prasad. Jamini Devi recalled, I put a dot of sandal paste on the mother's forehead, a garland around her neck, and offered flowers at her feet. After bowing down, I looked at her face and saw a beautiful divine form in place of her old form.
Now, this is something that occasionally happened with disciples and devotees. The mother would suddenly be this beautiful goddess rather than this older woman. She wasn't that awfully old, but she was, in poor health and hadn't that much longer to live. So this was really quite a vision for this woman to have. So would you read that again from the beginning of her statement?
Sure. Jamini Devi recalled, I put a dot of sandal paste on the mother's forehead, a garland around her neck, and offered flowers at her feet. After bowing down, I looked at her face and saw a beautiful divine form in place of her old form. I can't describe that celestial form in human language. After a short while, she became as usual and said, my child, now bow down.
Why did she say this? Because now she says, now she's saying, now you know. She's saying, now you have had the experience. Now you know. So now bow down. Anything else from anyone about this marvelous
Brother
occasion?
Shankara,
Yes, dear.
Brother Shankara,
Yes, dear.
is this something like Kalpataru Day? Some similar to that?
Well, dear, she was praying to the Master for people's welfare. That's what was said earlier. So she wasn't conferring direct blessings like the Master did on Kalpataru Day. Kalpataru Day, for those of you who don't know, was January 1st, 1886, the master was only 8 months away from his Mahasamadhi, his leaving the body, and very, very ill with this throat cancer. It had metastasized, of course, to other parts of his body. But as is said in the tales of what's related about that January 1st, he felt better that day. There were 31 devotees in the garden of this Kashipur garden house. They weren't in the house, they were outside. It was a beautiful day. And they were celebrating outside. They were being with the master, as it were. And he came down from the second floor and he asked, as he approached the group, he asked Girish Ghosh, "What is it that you see here that makes you say all these things about me?" And what Girish had been saying was that he was an incarnation, the Avatara Varishtaya, the true, a chosen ideal. And so Sri Ramakrishna asked him, "What is it that you see here?" And Girish bowed down to him and said, "What can I say? What can such as I say when Valmiki and Vyasa were unable to describe?" And Valmiki, of course, is the author of the Ramayana, the story of the incarnation of Rama. And Vyasa is the author of the Mahabharata, these and other scriptures relating to the incarnation of Krishna. At that point, Sri Ramakrishna went into an ecstatic mood and bestowed his blessings for people to realize their chosen ideal on each of those 31 people. This was related by both Girish Ghosh, some others who were there, including Akshay Kumar Sen, who wrote the portrait of Sri Ramakrishna, the Punti, and also it's very much detailed. There's a detailed account of it in Swami Sharadananda's The Great Master. So that's what Sham was asking about. And we can see there's a very great difference between what the mother said. She said, "I pray for the Master's grace, that you have the Master's grace," rather than conferring blessings herself. But then she did give her, at least this one devotee, we'll see what else happens, but this one devotee, the vision of her chosen ideal, which was the mother. And so, and then she said, "Now bow down." So, because now you know. So does that answer your question, Sham? Apparently he's got himself muted.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, dear. Anything else? Having paused, is there anything else that anyone would like to say or ask? All right, please go ahead, dear.
That afternoon, Holy Mother had a relapse of her fever. Her attendants informed Saradananda in Calcutta that her condition had worsened and local treatment had produced no result. In between bouts of fever, Holy Mother initiated some devotees who had come from far off places.
This was her grace, even no matter how badly she felt. If the circumstances were unusual, it's mentioned that these people had come from far off places. She would not deny them, even though she was in poor health, not feeling at all well herself. So what a grace she bestowed. So though she wasn't doing what the Master did on Kalpataru Day, this is in a sense equivalent, because the master, the mother giving initiation is equivalent to giving you liberation. I mean, it is giving you liberation, not equivalent to it is giving you liberation.
Her compassion was welling up for those who were suffering. She was distributing her blessings so quickly, it was as if she would burn away like camphor.
Phew, burn away like camphor. What does this mean? Camphor, when burned, leaves no ash, no residue whatsoever. What a remarkable metaphor for the Swami to use. It was as if she would burn away like camphor and nothing be left at all. She was just giving herself away with both hands. Oh, Jai Ma, Jai Ma, Jai Ma. Okay, dear.
In February 1920, before the master's birthday, Kali went to Holy Mother and said, "Sister, because you're present this year, we must observe the master's birthday on a grand scale and feed many people. Moreover, many relatives will come from other places to see you. We shall buy sufficient food and other things, so there will be no shortage." The mother said slowly, "Look, Brother Kali, I don't have your devotion and strength to observe the birthday festival of the master on a grand scale. Whatever vegetables and other foods are available in the local market, buy them and arrange the feast. As you see, my health is declining day by day." Kali took charge of the master's birthday festival, which fell on 21 February 1920.
Now, understand the reason it says it fell on. Because it goes by the lunar calendar, it isn't observed at the same time every year. Usually it's in early March sometime, but on this time was observed on 21 February.
After the worship, prasad was distributed among the monks, relatives, and villagers. It went off smoothly. In the late afternoon, Holy Mother felt weak, so she lay down with Radhu's baby inside the mosquito curtain. Ishanananda read some devotees' letters to her and then rubbed her feet.
Now, when these devotees' letters are read to her, she would normally dictate a reply right then and there. So that isn't said, but that's what would happen. So he was reading the letters and she would dictate a reply. And then he rubbed her feet, which of course he rubbed them with some sort of soothing and healing oil, no doubt.
When the baby began to cry, Holy Mother asked Ishanananda to take him to Radhu. The baby was on the other side of Holy Mother, and Ishanananda was hesitant to step over her. However, she insisted, so he obeyed and then bowed down to her. She blessed him and said, "There are many rules in the Vaishnava scriptures regarding proper and improper service to the Guru. It is a sin to step over the Guru, walk over his shadow, disobey his command, and even to step over his things. But let me tell you what the real services to the Guru are. One should be
Everyone listen up now. There's these dogmas and rules, and the mother's going to set him and therefore us straight here. So start that sentence again, please. Let me tell you.
There are many rules in the Vaishnava scriptures regarding proper and improper service to the Guru. It is a sin to step over the Guru, walk over his shadow, disobey his command, and even to step over his things. But let me tell you what the real services to the Guru are. One should be humble towards the Guru, should sincerely and affectionately serve the Guru, do the Guru's work as instructed, and please the Guru in all ways. I'll read again. But let me tell you what the real services to the Guru are. One should be humble towards the Guru, should sincerely and affectionately serve the Guru, do the Guru's work as instructed, and please the Guru in all ways. The Guru becomes angry if the disciple opposes his or her will and acts egotistically. It is a great mistake to make the Guru angry. Holy Mother then explained that it was hard for her to get up, so she had asked him to step over her body to pick up the baby.
And this is an example of her saying, this is the service to the Guru that I want. So these rules don't apply in this case. Ever flexible, ever fluid. This is what a yogi must be. As Swami Vivekananda pointed out, the goal is to realize your divinity, manifest your divinity, and all else, and be free, and all else is secondary details. Secondary and even tertiary details. Any comments or questions from anyone while we're stopped? Okay.
One evening at 8 o'clock, Holy Mother was seated on her veranda. Parameshwarananda was massaging her feet with medicated oil for her rheumatism, and she was talking about the Master. Meanwhile, a young woman entered the house and began to cry loudly. Her husband had died suddenly. He had been highly educated and had a high position in his office. The young widow sat on the veranda. She held Holy Mother's feet and her tears wet them. Overwhelmed by her heart-rending sobs, Parameshwarananda said, "Mother, this girl is deeply hurt." Mother replied, "My son, let her cry." Tears trickled from the mother's eyes also. Amazed, Parameshwarananda thought that the mother would console her. Instead, she let her cry. He did not realize that the mother was absorbing her grief. After some time, the woman stopped crying.
Now let's just hear what he realized. He realized that the mother was absorbing her grief by weeping with her, by not saying anything, simply in her intensely motherly and subtle way, she was absorbing this woman's grief.
She's a great divine therapist, Brother Shankara.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
exactly needed for the crying person. Somebody needs to show the empathy and compassion. Really wonderful divine therapist.
So start reading that after some time.
Okay. After some time, the woman stopped crying. When she stopped crying, the mother said to her, "My child, have a little prasad and drink some water." Amazed, Parameshwarananda saw that the woman was now completely free from grief. Her experience with Holy Mother had shown her the impermanency of the world, and her face was radiant with serenity.
Now, can this happen just to this young woman? No, it can happen to any of us in similar circumstances if we take refuge in the divine being. That's what they all say. I will take it for you. I will take it from you. Come to me, all ye who are weary and heavy laden, and I shall give you rest. These are Christ's words. Come to me, all ye who are weary and heavy laden, and I shall give you rest. This is exactly what the Holy Mother did right here. And what happens when these burdens are lifted from us, these heavy burdens? Her face was radiant with serenity. Serenity. Any comments or questions from anyone about the probability or improbability of this in your experience, or any other concern or question you'd like to raise?
It does help crying out the grief, Brother Shankara. Definitely, when things happen, especially like a motherly figure like Sarada Devi, definitely the divine will enter into us.
Yes.
Gives us strength.
Well, when Parameshwarananda says that she was absorbing her grief, this is not a turn of phrase. She was literally taking from her the burden of her grief. She was herself absorbing it by sharing it with her and taking this from her. This is beyond our ability to imagine how it might be, and yet here it is. So, anything else from anyone before we go on? All right, dears, please read on.
Towards the end of January 1920, Naresh Chandra Chakrabarti, a disciple of the mother, went to Jairambati with two devotees for their initiation. The mother told them, I am very sick. I can't initiate you now. The devotees began to cry, and Naresh again requested that she initiate them. Holy Mother replied, this body can no longer accept the burning sensation. That is, that people's sins produce. Naresh humbly asked, Mother, if you do not show your grace, where will they go? She finally agreed to initiate them.
Listen to this.
I know.
Twice she says no. When they say to her, where shall they go? She acknowledges the truth of this. She doesn't send them elsewhere. She could have sent them to Brahmananda. She could have sent them to Saradananda. She could have sent them to Premananda. The master's direct disciples who were initiated. I don't think Premananda initiated anyone, come to think of it. But in any event, she could have sent them to others. She decided not to. She finally agreed to initiate them. Okay, please read on, dear.
Naresh humbly asked, Mother, if you do not show your grace, where will they go? She finally agreed to initiate them. She told Naresh, their bodies are very impure. Ask them to stay here for 3 nights. If anyone stays here for 3 nights, his body will be pure because this place is the abode of Shiva.
Now just read that again, dear.
Yes.
And understand why the master says, the Sri Ramakrishna says, go to a holy place and stay for 3 days and nights. It isn't some magic formula of 3 days and 3 nights. That's all it takes. It isn't like, it's because these places are the abode of the divine. So we have one here. We have a retreat residence. You're welcome to come and stay for 3 days. Man or woman, doesn't matter. This is the kind of place that this is the master and mother's place. So please read this again about what she says for them to do.
She finally agreed to initiate them. She told Naresh, their bodies are very impure. Ask them to stay here for 3 nights. If anyone stays here for 3 nights, his body will be pure because this place is the abode of Shiva.
She
Holy
doesn't
Mother.
say it, she doesn't say it's my place. Huh? Who is the pure one? Who is Bimal? The pure one, Shiva. Though the mother did say one time when I think it was her, it was one of the women who lived with her, one of these crazy women, who had gotten a little feces on her fingers. And she'd washed herself, of course, but she still felt impure. And the mother finally said to her, well, then, if nothing else is working for you, just touch me. So this is such a remarkable thing. The purity is there for us. We don't need to worry about what we have been. When we turn to the divine in surrender, then something happens. Any comments or questions from anyone?
I never knew, Brother Shankara, that 3 nights spending would make it pure, because when I was little, my parents used to take us on pilgrimage tours. They would say we have to spend 3 nights. I never asked any questions of why. Today I'm finding out the answer. I never asked, but they always said 3 nights, 3 nights. 3 nights was a popular thing when I was growing up.
Well,
Then now I know the answer. I never knew all these years. I'm 72 years old. I'm stunned. I'm like
well,
shocked.
there, as Swami Swahananda there said, there's always more to learn.
Today I'm like, oh, that's why my parents used to say 3 nights.
Yes, exactly.
I'm glad to know this.
All right, dears. Anything else from anyone? All right, please read on.
Holy Mother initiated them 3 days later. Next subheading is the last journey to Calcutta. Brother Shankara, I'll just take a 1 moment break. I have a repair guy knocking on the door. I'll be right back in a few seconds, okay?
Okay,
Just need to give him a check, that's all.
okay. So this business of three nights. If you decide to come here to Holy Mother's Retreat, that's why it's named Holy Mother's Retreat. If you decide to come here for 3 days, there's only 2 requirements. Well, you can say the first is a 2-part. You leave your cell phone and your computer or iPad or whatever it is you use to communicate with the world. You leave those behind. You do not bring them. You bring some holy book that you've been studying, and you participate in the life of this place while you're here. That is to say, you attend Arati. If there's any other activity, class or talk or something during the time that you're here, and often people come on the weekends, they'll take a long weekend. So this is all available to you. Men stay in the monastery itself. Women stay in the part of this place that's called Holy Mother's Retreat. It's outside the monastery and is separated by a door. And this is what Swami Swahananda said would be enough separation, so that it didn't need to be, some distance away or anything. So if you decide to come, just all you need to do is send me an email, give me a call, and this or can be arranged. And the idea is that you leave behind those things that you use to communicate with the world, because that is a distraction that will take your attention away from this place and what is available here. And you bring whatever holy book you wish to study, something of your own, something that, I mean, there are all kinds of books here. If you want to read something else besides what you bring, that's fine, but bring your own. And then plan to do nothing else while you're here, but read, do your spiritual practices, and participate in the life of this place. That's all that's necessary.
I apologize for the interruption, Brother Shankara.
Oh, not at all, dear. I was glad to have that opportunity to explain.
Thank you.
Okay, so please read on.
The subheading is The Last Journey to Calcutta. Swami Sharadananda was hearing news of Holy Mother's poor health from various sources, and he was concerned. He wrote to Holy Mother and also sent messages through other people requesting that she come to Calcutta for treatment. At last, she agreed to come. However, Sharadananda was called to Varanasi to look after an urgent matter concerning the Ramakrishna mission there. He stayed in Varanasi from 25th November 1999 to 20th January 1920, and then went to Bhubaneswar to see Swami Brahmananda on 6th February. He returned to Calcutta on 17th February. Holy Mother refused to go to Calcutta during Saradananda's absence.
She relied so much on him. She just didn't want to be there and have somebody else take the great burden of her needs and her service. She just felt that Saradananda would be able to manage it, but others would not. There were only a few that she had this relationship with during her lifetime. But she had this complete reliance on them. That's why she didn't want to go to Calcutta while he was away. Okay, dear?
She told her attendants, if Sharath is not there, my going to Calcutta is out of the question. Who else can take care of me? Who can carry my burden and problems except Sharath? At last, Sharadananda fixed the mother's departure date for 24th February 1920, and Swami's Atma Prakashananda, Bhumananda, and Boshis were sent to Jairambati. They arrived there on 21st February. The disciples then began packing for Holy Mother and the companions who would go with her to Calcutta. She did not have much luggage. Generally, she carried a few saris, a towel, a blanket, a mosquito curtain, tooth powder, a little dry mud from Mother Simhavahini's temple, and her little tin box, which contained the master's picture, wrapped up in a cloth, and some precious mementos. It was decided that Parameshwarananda and Hari Premananda would stay in Jairambati to look after the mother's house, while Ishanananda accompanied her to Calcutta. Parameshwarananda described the plans. The date of the mother's departure for Calcutta was 24th February 1920. It was planned that the mother would go by palanquin via Sihar, and others would cross the Amudar River by a small boat and then go by bullock cart. They would have lunch at Kolpara Ashrama, and then after resting, they would start for Vishnupur. Let me read this again. They would have lunch at Kolpara Ashrama, and then after resting, they would start for Vishnupur. In the morning, the mother finished the worship, wrapped the mother's picture, and put it in her tin.
Wrap the master's picture.
Wrapped the master's picture and put it in her tin box. She then added her jewelry and money and closed the box. She ate a little breakfast. Before leaving, she remembered that some leftover rice from the previous night was soaking in water, and she wanted to give it to a poor woman. She said to me, "This rice will be wasted, so let me give it to that woman." I said, "Mother, I shall give it to her. You will not have to do it." She said, "No, my son, I shall give it to her."
We know the subtle reason now for this. There was a reason that the mother wanted to do it herself. So again,
after giving the rice to the woman, the mother went to Punyapakur to wash her hands. Her foot slipped and she almost fell. Somehow she controlled her balance and said to me, "My son, I was about to fall. You see, this body is very weak." She sat down and took a little rest. Men and women of Jairambati came to see the mother off and said to her with tearful eyes, "After recovering your health, please come back soon. Don't forget us." The mother replied, "Everything is the will of the master. Can I ever forget you?" Then her attendants came one by one and bowed down to her. She gave me one of her used silk cloths and gave a chadar to Brahmachari Hari. Her palanquin was kept on the shore of Ahar Lake, which is on the western outskirts of the village. The mother asked me to carry her tin box, and I put it on my head. She walked behind me, and the villagers followed her. Meanwhile, a white-breasted kite flew over the mother's head.
You see, this is very, very auspicious. This, the Native Americans say this is one of the most auspicious things that could have happened on her departure, is that a big bird of prey like this would fly over her. Here, of course, they're called eagles and hawks, and there are also kites. But so please read that again, dear.
I'll read it from the paragraph beginning, Brother Shankara. Men and women of Jairambati came to see the mother off and said to her with tearful eyes, "After recovering your health, please come back soon. Don't forget us." The mother replied, "Everything is the will of the master. Can I ever forget you?" Then her attendants came one by one and bowed down to her. She gave me one of her used silk cloths and gave a chadar to Brahmachari Hari. Her palanquin was kept on the shore of Ahar Lake, which is on the western outskirts of the village. The mother asked me to carry her tin box, and I put it on my head. She walked behind me, and the villagers followed her. Meanwhile, a white-breasted kite flew over the mother's head. When I saw it, I said to her, "Mother, the journey will be auspicious." She replied indifferently, "Yes, my son." Hari carried a pan and a jug of water mixed with turmeric. When the mother reached her palanquin, Hari washed the mother's feet with that water and dried them before she entered the palanquin. I privately told Hari to save that water. But when I stepped away, the mother said to Hari, I walked over this dirty street, so throw that water away. Hari told her that I had asked him to save it. The mother insisted that he throw it away. When I came back, I found that the pan was empty. I was disappointed as I wanted to save that auspicious water. The mother entered the palanquin and I placed the box inside it. We followed her. When the palanquin reached the Shantinath Shiva temple in Sihar, the mother got down and asked Brahmachari Bharata to buy some sweets. She offered them to Lord Shiva and distributed the prasad to everyone present. She then bowed down to a Brahmin who was a relative on her mother's side. She returned to the palanquin. When she reached the edge of Sihar village, she asked the bearers to stop. She put her hand on my head to bless me and then affectionately said, You have come quite a distance. Now go back. Hari will be with you. Please eat well. After reaching Calcutta, I shall write to you. Bharata followed the mother on his bicycle. Gradually, the mother's palanquin disappeared from sight, and I returned to Jairambati with a heavy heart. I just want to make one comment. Turmeric, there is a little note here at the bottom of the page. Turmeric can be used as an antiseptic. We use a lot in India, Brother Shankara. In our cooking, everything is turmeric.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it's much used here.
It is. Now they're selling capsules of turmeric now for health.
No, I mean here at the monastery, the people who cook here in the kitchen use turmeric. And we have tea with turmeric and so on. He returned to Jairambati with a heavy heart. I'm sure he did.
We cannot resist including these details of the mother's life because they were so beautifully, meticulously, and graphically recorded by her disciples. We are eternally indebted to them.
Would you read that from the beginning again, dear?
Sure.
This is Swami Chaitananda speaking.
Do you want me to go back to the previous paragraph or just we cannot resist?
Just from we cannot.
Okay. We cannot resist including these details of the mother's life because they were so beautifully, meticulously, and graphically recorded by her disciples. We are eternally indebted to them. Moreover, these precious eyewitness accounts are very helpful for meditation on the mother, who is now beyond name and form. Every tiny thing about the beloved is important to the lover. Now we shall present the vivid account of Brahmachari Bharata, later Swami Ishanananda, who accompanied Holy Mother on her last journey from Jairambati to Calcutta. After returning from Varanasi, Swami Saradananda fixed the date of the mother's return to Calcutta and then sent Swamis Atma Prakashananda, Bhumananda, and Boshishwar Sen to Jairambati to escort the mother. It was decided that Radhu, her son and her mother, Maku and her son Nalini, Mandakini, a Brahmin widow who took care of Radhu's son, and I would go with the mother. Swami Parameshwarananda and Hari would remain in Jairambati. The mother's body was very weak. 2 days before the departure, she went to bow down to Mother Simhavahini. She was terribly exhausted when she returned home and later said, I perspired like one on one's deathbed.
Hmm.
The departure time was 8 o'clock on the morning of 24th February 1920. 2 palanquins were hired, one for the mother and another for Radhu and her son, to take them up to Vishnupur. I was to follow the mother on my bicycle, and the others would go by bullock cart after crossing the river. The palanquins would take an 8-mile detour via Sihar and Shiromanipur to Kolpara. The night before the journey, the fickle Radhu suddenly announced that she would not go by palanquin with her son. The mother tried to convince her, but she would not change her mind. The mother waited till the next day, thinking that Radhu would change her mind. But in the morning before departure, when Radhu had not yielded, the mother said, let Radhu go with her son by bullock cart, and Maku and her son will go by palanquin with me. We carried the luggage to the other side of the Amadar River and loaded it into the bullock cart. After returning to the mother's house, I saw that many men and women of the village had come to see the mother off. They plaintively said, Aunt, please come back soon after recuperating. Don't forget us for a long time. The mother replied in a choked voice, everything is the will of the master. Can I forget you?
Notice, in a choked voice. She loved these people. She loved her life in Jairambati Ma. Okay, can I ever forget you?
The mother replied in a choked voice, everything is the will of the master. Can I forget you? It was a wonderful scene of mutual love and respect. Everyone bowed down to her, and at last, Swami Parameshwarananda and Hari bowed down to her. The mother gave a cloth to the Swami and a chadar to Hari and blessed them by touching their heads. The mother then bowed down to the master, put his picture in her tin box, and tied a cloth around it. After crossing the threshold, she saluted Mother Simhavahini with folded hands and saluted other deities of the village. Her palanquin was waiting on the shore of Ahar Lake, which is to the west of the village. Mother Simhavahini is the presiding deity of the village. So the mother did not board the palanquin within the village. There is a remark at the bottom, Brother Shankara. In those days, it would have been considered disrespectful to the deity for a person to use such a conveyance within the village, as only a deity would be carried in that way.
I see. That explains it. So even to the last, Mother was following these conventions and rules, even though it was an inconvenience to her.
The mother began to walk westward and saw Uncle Prasanna's wife waiting in front of her door. She held a jug of water and a pan. Her intention was to wash the mother's feet before she got into the palanquin. Mother told the aunt, Subhashini, you will not have to carry the water and pan. Give them to Hari. He will wash my feet. Accordingly, she handed the jug and pan over to Hari. And she also walked to the palanquin with the mother with the mother carrying a glass of water, some sweets, and a crushed beetle roll. On the way, the mother saluted Yatrashiddhi Roy Dharmatakur, the presiding deity of the Ghosh family, situated in the western part of the village. When she came close to the palanquin, the mother touched the ground with both hands. Facing the village, she said, "One's mother and one's birthplace are higher than heaven." Thus, saluting the village, she got inside the palanquin, but she kept her feet out for hurry to wash in the pan. Aunt Subhashini then gave the sweets and water to the mother, ate little of which she took, and then she chewed the crushed beetle roll. The bearers lifted the palanquin and moved towards Sihar. The villagers watched the mother's departure intently and with tearful eyes. I followed the palanquin riding on my bicycle. The mother asked the bearers to stop near the Shantinath Shiva temple at Sihar. She got down and went to a nearby pond where she washed her hands and feet. Then she bought 2 rupees worth of sweets, sandesh, sugar, and nabat. Entering the temple, she bowed down to Lord Shantinath and offered the sweets. Many men, women, and children of Sihar came to see the mother. She distributed that sweet prasad to all. She ate a little and gave some to us. Then she tied a little prasad in her corner of her cloth for Radhu. We reached Kolpara by 11 o'clock in the morning. All of the bullock carts had arrived before us. Brother Shankar, do you want me to put a stop here? It's 6:27, close to 3 more minutes we have. If you want, I will.
That'll do, dear.
Okay. So
Yeah, we'll just read that last paragraph. Last paragraph.
I will. Many men, women, and children of Sihar came to see the mother. She distributed that sweet prasad to all. She ate a little and gave some to us. Then she tied a little prasad in the corner of her cloth for Radhu. We reached Kolpara by 11 o'clock in the morning. All the bullock carts had arrived before us.
So we'll leave it there for this week.
Okay.
Any comments or questions? Anything at all from any of you? We've really had quite this is nectar that we're being offered here. This is nectar. If we take this to our hearts, Holy Mother's departure from her home village, which she characterized for us as higher than heaven, which says something to us about our own birthplaces. But more than this, we're seeing this, the Mother of the universe, in this humble village woman taking her departure from those she loves and who love her intently, as we see, being generous to them at every turn, being generous with them at every turn, and being considerate of others at every moment. So is there anything at all that anyone else would like to say?
She visited every deity, Brother Shankara, in her hometown. Before she left the town, almost she's giving us the signal, I may not be coming back here. My final salutations to the lords, all the lords there.
Anyone who is being attentive would have noticed, yes.
Yes. very much.
Jai Ma, Jai Ma, Jai Ma. Anything else from anyone? All right, dear. I strongly recommend to all of you to get a copy of the Devi Mahatmyam. If you want to know what copy, what translation, and so on, you can just contact me. And I'll tell you what pages Swami Swahananda, it's the 4 hymns that are in the book. It's 700 verses in praise of Mother Durga, the Mother of the Universe, but it mentions many, many forms of the Mother in the book. So if any of you are drawn to this mother of the universe in the form of Sri Sarada Devi, then please know that there's a great deal to know about her that is in this book. The Chandi is it's commonly called. 700 verses in praise of Mother Durga, the Devi Mahatmyam. And this tells us in such great loving detail in the voices of her mind-born son Brahma, in the minds of in the words of in the chanting of Indra and the hosts of devas, and so and sages, the sages of the time in which the book was, of which the book speaks. So the Devi Mahatmyam, any of you who would like to know more, just contact me.
Brother Shankara, who would be the author of that book so that we could look in used books or Amazon somewhere in the books?
Just email me, dear, and I'll give you that information. I don't recall.
Okay, sure, I'll do that. Thank you.
I mean, I could look it up now, but I just...
No.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'll send you an email, Brother Shankara.
Yeah, it's always best. All right, anything else from anyone? All right. Om Hari Om. Om Asato Ma Satgamaya. Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya. Mrityorma Amrutangamaya. Abir Moiti. O dearly beloved, lead us from the unreal to the real. Lead us from this realm of endless noise and relentless confusion to thine abode of silence, serenity, clarity, and peace. Lead us from darkness to light. Lead us from darkness and ignorance to the brilliance of thy wisdom and love. Lead us from darkness and ignorance to the brilliance of thy wisdom and love. Lead us from death to immortality. Light us through and through. Light us through and through with thy everlasting, shining presence. Om Hari Om Tat Sat. Jai Shri Guru Maharaj Ji Ki Jai. Durga Durga Durga. May we be safe. May we be healthy. May we be cheerful. May we have peace of mind. And may we be always in the loving and protective embrace of the Divine Being as our Mother and Father. Om Hari Om Tat Sat. Oh, beloved, make it so. So anything else? Any final thoughts from anyone?
Thank you, Haimaji. Thank you, Brother Shankara. Thank you,
All
everyone.
right, dears.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Shailesh, for being with us. All right, dears. With that, until tomorrow evening, when we study Swami Ranganathananda's magnificent little book, Divine Grace, and Swayam is our reader. We'll see one another, those of us who choose to join, tomorrow evening. Until then, away we go.